for joining me. This is Wendy. I'm here to make a really cute card for you today using the Thankful Forest Friends stamp set. Last week I showed you these two cards on my blog, but I didn't create a video for them because frankly I was just too busy. And my family was all home and it was crazy. So we're going to make this card today, and it's super simple. And if you're on my mailing list, you will have already received this tutorial in the mail for me in your email. If you are not on my mailing list, make sure you join. You can do that by going to my blog and putting in your name and your email at the top of the screen. Okay, so I just have a piece of very vanilla cardstock here that I have embossed with the wood grain embossing folder, and I'm inking the edges of it and the top of it with crumb cake ink. Excuse me. And then I'm taking my 1.5 inch circle punch, and I'm going to punch 3 holes in this piece of cardstock. Now, you need 2 pieces of very vanilla cardstock cut at 1 3/4 inches by 5 1/4 inch. You need a piece of Cajun Craze cut at 2 inches by 5 1/4, and you need a piece of Early Espresso cut at 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. So what I'm doing here, this is the tricky part of this card, and I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but I like to do things the hard way apparently, so just bear with me as you see my process here. What I've done is I've taken my other piece of very vanilla cardstock, my strip, and laid it down, and on top of it I'm laying that wood grain piece that I've already stamped on, embossed and inked. Now I'm removing that and stamping the bear, but if you notice I put a mask down so that the bottom of the bear wouldn't stick out and show up underneath into that other hole, the middle hole. So I learned that the hard way. I just wasn't thinking, and I stamped it, and the bear's legs were coming out the bottom hole, and it looked really funny. So I stamped that bear in Early Espresso, and now I'm using Cajun Craze, and I'm going to stamp the fox. And on this card, I stamped the fox a little too far to the right. I really should have stamped it further to the left, but I was doing the best I could there. So I'm just going to remove, again, I'm kind of lining up where I'll need this fox to be, and then I'm removing that top piece, and then I'm stamping down. And then when I put that top piece back, you can see that the fox is in the little circle. So it works out perfect. And then the last thing that I need to stamp is the little rabbit. And I'm stamping the rabbit in Smoky Slate cardstock, Smoky Slate ink. And same process again. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, remove that top piece, and I kind of end up messing with it here because I realize I'm going to stamp off of the wood, or onto my wood, if I don't get my mat back. So I stamp the little rabbit down in the corner, and now when I adhere the top piece of the very vanilla cardstock that I embossed, it's going to cover up all the excess, and it kind of just looks like this piece of wood or tree with all these little animals peeking out of it. Now I realize that a bear and a fox and a rabbit would not be in the same tree peeking out of 3 different holes. Just to clarify, I know that that wouldn't happen. I do live in the country and I know a little bit about animals, and those 3 critters probably would not be caught in the same place together. However, well, unless they were eating each other, I guess. That could be possible. The fox could be chasing the rabbit and the bear could be chasing the fox. I'm so sorry about my head in the way, but I had to look right over the top of this in order to get that laid down correctly. So I just used my fine tip glue pen to put those together. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer my very vanilla cardstock, which is cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4. I'm just going to layer that down onto my Pear Pizzazz. And I cut the Pear Pizzazz piece at 4 1/4 by 11, so it's opens from the top. And then I'm layering down this Early Espresso piece, which I said earlier, and then I realized, whoops, don't do that. I jerked my hands back because I realized I needed to put on my ribbon first. So this kind of ends up being a blunder because I can't get the snail to stick. And this is what happens to me when I do videos and I start to get flustered and realize I've made a mistake. Then I do really stupid stuff. Like normally I would never try to use snail adhesive to put on the back of cotton ribbon because I would know that that wouldn't stick. But when I get flustered, I'll start doing stuff that's really stupid. I don't know if any of you guys do stuff like that, but... And then I got adhesive on my countertop, so my stuff started sticking. It was a mess. Anyway, so originally on the other card, you can see that I put this piece under the piece of Very Vanilla so that when you open the card, you don't see any ribbon. But because I oopsied there and I didn't put it down before I stuck down the Very Vanilla, I had to improvise. So that just happens. That's card making. I mean, and when you're shooting a video and you're trying to think through all the different steps of something, sometimes it's just really hard to remember, oh, I should do this first or I should do that first. And like right here is a perfect example. I'm putting my fine tip glue pen away because I looked up and I realized, oh, it's sitting there without the lid on it and it's going to dry up and be all goopy in there, and that's going to be crazy. So before I finish the last layer element of this card, I wanted to do my sentiment stamping because it could get over onto the Cajun Craze and the Early Espresso. And if it did that, that would be fine. But if it got onto my little tree piece that I already created, it'd be a nightmare. So I'm just taking Scotch tape and I'm taping off everything except the word thank. So it's just the THANK that I'm trying to leave exposed. So I'm covering up the FUL at the end of the word, and I'm covering everything else up. And I have to use the Stamp-A-Jig to accomplish the right type of stamping here, because otherwise it's not going to come out right. So I'm just inking it up, and it looks like a total mess, I know. And I'm using my Stamp-A-Jig plastic sheet and lining up my tool, and then I'm going to stamp even with that tape on there, because I can still see where the word is, and the word is what I'm going to worry about lining up. So I'm lining up the word thank, T-H-A-N-K, onto my cardstock, and then all I have to do is ink this up again, rather than having to put tape on it again. The key is you have to remove your tape before you stamp. Can you tell I've done that? I have, on more than one occasion, used this technique and then been in a hurry and just went ahead and stamped and not even realized. So here I'm just lining up the word thank and trying to get it exactly where I want it to be on my card, and then I remove that plastic piece. I'm breathing a little bit on the stamp, and down it goes, and it's perfect. Not a single flaw, and it's perfectly straight. So now I need to clean this stamp off, so that's what I'm doing off screen. I'm just scrubbing off this stamp and getting it nice and clean so that I can mask off everything except the word full, F-U-L. So it can go down underneath. When I made this card, I really wanted to use, sorry about that, there's my head. I really wanted to use thankful as my sentiment, but I knew it wasn't going to fit across there. And I thought about doing it like up the side of the card, and so it would be vertical, but I didn't think that would look good. So I ended up doing this, and then I don't know what I was thinking right here. I stamped and realized, oh, duh, Wendy, you have to have the black thing in place first before you do your stamping. So I just turned it real quick so I could do it again. So you can see all I'm interested in using is that FUL. So when I bring my card down in front, I'm lining up the FUL under the thank. And that's all I'm worrying about. I don't care what's around it because I'm going to ink it up again, which I've already done. And then I'm peeling away that tape so that the only thing left that will stamp is the FUL. And this technique is fantastic because it really allows you to get multiple uses out of your stamp sets. Like this looks like a totally different sentiment, and it's from the same stamp set, the Thankful Friends. So I just love doing that. Anytime I can get more use out of my stamps, I appreciate it. So then there's this little twiggy leafy thing that's in the stamp set, the Thankful Forest Friends stamp set, and just inking that in Early Espresso and stamping it down. You can color it with Stampin' Write markers in different colors if you want to. And right here I realized, oops, that I have this stuff hanging off the edge, and I didn't like that. So I just went in and cleaned that up a little bit before I adhered this piece down to my card. And the very last step is I cut an extra piece of the 1/4 inch Pear Pizzazz cotton ribbon, which I love that cotton ribbon. It's fun. And at first I was going to tie just like an overhand knot right there. And then I decided, no, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use my bow cheater to create a really cute bow to put down. So I don't know if you've ever seen my video on my bow cheater, but it's super, super simple to use and super simple to make. And so I'll find that video for you and I'll link it here so that you can learn how to make one of these because they're super handy. So I'm just pulling that off and then pulling the tails down. I will warn you, the bow cheater video is super old and my videos have come a long way. So don't judge me. You'll be able to see part of my journey. I've thought before about deleting some of my really old videos because they are horrific, like the lighting, the angle, everything. But then I thought, no, it's really a testament to my journey with stamping and everything. Because I have come a long way. I didn't start stamping until 2010. So it's really cool to see how far I've come and how my stuff has changed. So anyway, there's my sweet, thankful card. I just love how it turned out. And if you are interested in receiving free tutorials from me, make sure you sign up on my blog, put your name and email, and I'm going to be doing a 12 Days of Christmas event, and I'm going to be sending out a tutorial every day, so you don't want to miss out on that. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.